Another installment of the 5-minute call with me, Candice Murisele, only means one thing. Truthful conversations rooted in transformation of the world of entertainment. The love of my life, a space that we all consume, enjoy, but don't often know enough about. This conversation that we'll be having is a little more personal. I have answered some of the get to know me questions, but this one is a question I get asked very often, so I felt like it's important that I isolate it and make it an episode of its own. So to those of you who've watched before, thank you. If you're joining me for the very first time, thank you as well. Get comfortable, take some notes, let somebody know that this is the home of all things entertainment. It is the 5-minute call.
I'ma need you to vacate the premises. You really reaching to maintain your relevance. The main reason why I don't have any friends in this is when I'm in the room, I'm addressing the elephants. And they paying for plays and traffic. They better off playing in traffic. I peep game for a while, I ain't quick to judge, but I can see him breaking character. The jig is up.
Okay.
Okay.
If I get emotional, litlang forgive, because before I am an artist, I am human, a human being who experiences a rainbow of emotions, one of which is that of rejection. So I get asked by young professionals, emerging artists, people with a keen interest in entertainment, Candice, how do you pivot when you're rejected? How do you find a way around opportunities that don't find you, or you just don't get cast? It's sometimes as simple as that. And how do I, as a 16-year-old, as a 17-year-old, as a 25-year-old, overcome the rejection that I tend to experience when I audition, when I reach out for opportunities, and there's just no positive results? I do want to say that a lot of what entertainers do requires a great deal of vulnerability, a great deal and a huge amount of heart, mind, spirit, and absolute submission to the gift of storytelling and entertainment. I know people see us on screen and the immediate assumption is that it's fun, it's all games, you play with the script, you interact with other actors, performers, the screen, you interact with everyone in the space, you interact with the cleaner, you interact with the makeup artist, and that everything that glitters is indeed gold. That is not the case. Submitting sometimes means going through very traumatic things that you didn't anticipate. Submitting to the call of storytelling is sometimes an absolute surrender that you may have not been ready for, but it's also making yourself so vulnerable to the no's that may come. If you've read a lot of my interviews or seen the conversations or engaged with the conversation that I've had about rejection, you'll know that before I got to the point that I am currently at, before I even got to Yo TV, I was rejected a lot of times, and I don't often like to perceive it as or engage with it as rejection, because the casting director is doing their job, the producer is doing their job, the director is doing their job. To insinuate that it is a form of rejection kind of positions us in a way that we are not wanted. We may have been wanted. We are wanted by ourselves. Our gifts want us. God wants us to submit to our gift. But perhaps you just weren't right, which is why I've titled this particular episode, It's Not Personal. It's really not personal. Don't take it personal. And that's normally the initial response that I give when young people reach out and say, Candice, I didn't get cast in this. Or someone says, I would have loved this opportunity, but I realized I wasn't right for it. And that's where it's only fair for me to share my relationship and how I got to the point of trusting the process and being okay with the no's. So many years ago, I suppose we can go from 2012 when I'd started auditioning for series, soapies, commercials. I hadn't had the confidence to audition as a presenter for anything just yet. And that's because I don't think I was in any way as eloquent as what I am now, and I'm grateful to theater and live radio and live television for how it's nurtured me and to allow me to step out of my patterns of overthinking, because sometimes I reject myself before I even submit. So sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, no, you said that wrong, no. And I'm my own biggest critic, as many of us are, as many artists are, as many individuals in general are. So I was 18, venturing out into the world of entertainment, fresh out of matric. I had, and I still have, my same agent 10 years later. Shout out to you, Janice Williamson. I absolutely love you. Shout out to the Talent ETC team. You guys have nurtured me, been with me every step of the way. But there I was, auditioning. One would say, and I do, 18 is young. 18 is indeed young. To be self-affirmed, to be self-confident, to give yourself any form of self-validation is almost near impossible at the age of 18. You're still looking into the world and trying to find your sense of self and trying to ground your identity. But there I was, going to auditions for commercials. And the big thing for me is that I never felt pretty enough. And I know, some people can say, but Candace, you've always been pretty. I've always known you to be pretty. No, within myself, within my body, I felt like I never measured up to the standards of what the industry presented at the time. And I say this because I'd go into these auditions, and when you get a brief, sometimes they'll say they're looking for people from the age 18 to 21, 18 to 24. They're looking for a black actress or anyone really, but the age factor is important to me because at 18, I looked 17. No, at 18, I probably looked 14. I looked very young. And there I am stepping. You guys know what 21-year-olds look like right now? So if I'm 18 and other people are there at the audition and they're 21, I look half their age. So that was the first start, feeling like I didn't look mature enough, feeling like I looked too youthful, feeling like I was, or not even feeling, I misunderstood myself. I can't say I was misunderstood, but I misunderstood myself. And I've said in a previous interview, if you don't know what you're selling, you won't know how to package it. I never knew my gift. I never knew how to position myself, and therefore I stepped into rooms already feeling inadequate. I stepped into rooms with this false sense of confidence because there I was, a theater performer, and I knew what was going on. The minute auditions came and I had to be in front of the camera, I already was walking in with the insecurities first and the gift was secondary. And that's the thing, to completely submit means to trust the process and to trust your gift. I'm grateful that I worked with the likes of Charlie Adler, who said that believe that you're standing on solid ground. I mentioned in one of the episodes as well, to believe your skill set, to believe it fully and completely. And what it took was a lot of rejection, a lot of no's, a lot of callbacks but not getting called back, a lot of not booking, a lot of not being on that series, a lot of, but I auditioned for that commercial and 3 weeks later I'm not on it. And that's the hardest thing about our industry, is that they're not going to call you back and say, "Askis, we didn't cast you." They're not going to call back all 250 people that they auditioned or send an email saying, "Hey, thank you for joining us. However, unfortunately, because we've cast A, B, C, D." And they're not going to give you feedback either. I'm big on feedback. If you've worked with me before, the boys know, they work with me, they know. I'm just like, how am I, do that, does that work? And I'm like that with the directors that I work with as well. To really be present in the moment, but to also, and that's the hardest thing, to trust that even though you showed up as your best version and your best self, and not getting that feedback, perhaps it just wasn't meant for you, and it's not personal. And that's where mental health matters comes in. I'm no expert, and I'm not going to position myself as such, but I know that therapy played a great deal in me seeing myself. I remember my very first therapy session with the same therapist that I have to this very day, by the way. It was in 2015. I was really struggling on a career aspect, personal aspect, spiritual aspect. Like everything was just dear mekaar, okay? And one of the most incredible exercises that I had with her She had me write down qualities of who I am. And me being me, because I wrote down confident, dedicated, intelligent. I may have written down 20 things, and boy oh boy, did the reflection happen, because she went down the list, or she asked me to share what I had written down, and she's like, what do you notice about this? I didn't notice anything. And she was like, not a single thing is negative. Nothing here. And that's the thing. We want to, in the act of self-kindness and self-love and compassion and empathy, position ourselves in the most positive light. But we need to be our greatest critics. And you can't be your greatest critic if you're staring through and in the mirror with rose-tinted shades, with your smoke and a smoky haze. Truth is required as an artist. And when you encounter that truth, and where you can always get better, and where you can always give yourself feedback, the validation outside of that won't always be important. You won't always look to that job to affirm you, to affirm your identity. You'll trust that I'm giving my best, and if it is meant for me, I will book it. If it is meant for me, it will find me. If this is the same position and role that I'm called for, I will get cast in it. And that's a tough relationship that we have to have with ourselves, especially if you're living hand to mouth, job to job, booking to booking. But that's where a lot of us also create our own opportunities where ordinarily we'd have to wait for them. I'm doing the 5-minute call as we speak. This is a faith exercise. It's a faith test. It's me saying, God, I don't know where you're taking me with this, but let's go. You've ordered these steps and given me the courage to walk in them. So here is my submission to you. Spirit, lead me. Spirit, lead me. That is what this is. That is why mental health matters. That is why taking care of you and exercising any form of self-love, which isn't always pretty, matters. Looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the ugly matters. Not ugly according to world standards, but seeing some of the things that you feel you can work on. Those 20 things on the list, remove 10 and actually see the truth of the 10 that you don't truly enjoy. So you can build and grow and nurture. And while you wait for these opportunities, work, look yourself in the mirror, rehearse those scripts, talking to yourself. I, to this very day, do links of the 5-minute call in the shower, talking to myself. Because I believe in practice. I believe in not being affirmed by an opportunity or to confirm that I'm actually great at what I do. I believe that I'm great at what I do. There's no shame in me putting my hand up and saying, I've worked, I commit, I'm experienced, I'm great, I'm dope. And that's why you're casting me. What good is it to walk into an opportunity, to walk into a job humble? I'm not humble. I know I'm great. I have humility. I respect people. I respect my gift. I respect my craft. I respect the people that I work with. I respect the space. But I'm dope. Whether or not this opportunity finds me, whether or not you cast me, I'm great. And I'm great for my gift, but maybe not for this job. And that's fine. I could give you so many tips on how to pivot in the face of rejection, on how to acknowledge the no's and look at rejection as a redirection. I could give every single kind of note that a public speaker and a motivational speaker could give to help you acknowledge the moment for what it is and to not reject yourself when the no's start knocking. You've listened to what I've said for the past few minutes. Please digest, dissect, use it accordingly to how you feel is truthful to you. But at the end of the day, it's not personal. They were looking for this person. They wanted to cast that person. You didn't fit the profile. You didn't fit what they had in mind. I am a writer. I know when I want to cast Ntabi Singh, this is what I have in mind. And this actor fits. And maybe you just weren't it. And that's okay, because it's just not personal. Take care of your mind, take care of your heart, take care of your body. work, work, work while you wait. But act in kindness and compassion and absolute empathy. Because that kindness you always give so freely to the world for a change, look in the mirror and give it back to yourself. It's been nothing shy of a blessing, sharing truths, sharing experiences that matter, feelings that count, and to validate me, to validate you, to validate us. Thank you for your time. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, ask more questions. Let's grow with this platform. It's mine just as much as it is yours. Mi casa, su casa. The 5-minute call with me, Dumela Candace Mudisele. Consider yourself absolutely blessed. That's my phone. Damn, my bad. Sorry guys, I thought it was on flight mode. So go, 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 go. I got a meeting with ideas.
Really?
Yeah, I do. They want me to do an in-store visit. Because I have a new line of bras. And I was like, well, I got boobs. Okay, let me fix these one more time. We're good.
내 마음과 내 두